Yud Zayin Rav. We started the new parak last night, and we talked about Machlokas Yerushalmi Yaakov and Rabbanan, where two shutfim are muder hanoah, one from the other, or from each other, and Yerushalmi Yaakov said that each one can use his part, whereas Rabbanan hold that everybody's supposed to use the whole thing. And the Gemara said, sorry for the Gemara again after this, Rabbanan may call tefa techva shutfin who each and every tefa belongs to the partner, so therefore each and every tefa is forbidden. Each person goes into his side. What if they divide up the field with a fence or a barrier of any sort? Psipas is really a low and symbolic fence. Abundant say that each side now can use each person can now use their own side because they split it up. And it's even after the fact, it seems, even after that it was made. They'll split it up and say, well, this is the way it's supposed to be split up, and that'll work in order for each one of us to go dafka into our side. Even Rabbanan could see at that point.
What if there's only one entrance?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. Pashas is usually it was usually not like that because each guy had, came out of their door, right? So, but that's a good question. What would be if there's one door? What if one of them sold his portion? Now, according to Samach, he sold his portion to the other guy. In order to imagine that he sold out to the other person. I'm not sure that's mukhrach, but in any event, he did sold to somebody else. So the guy made the neder, forbidding himself from deriving benefit, sold out his portion, either to the other guy or to somebody else in the world. So, after Yerushalmi Yaakov agrees that in this case he loses all rights to come back to the field. Okay? He can't say, well, whatever rights I had before, I have that right, not of course to enter, not to, how should we put it? He had a right to have the field before, right? And he forbade his friend from using his half, right? So now, this guy, the guy who's that works out better. If he forbids himself to use his friend's half, so he forbids himself to use his friend's half. So according to Rabbi Yerushalmi Yaakov, he's still going to his half. According to Rabbi he cannot. According to Rabbi Yerushalmi Yaakov, once he sells out, especially if you'd say to Rasmech that he sold to the other guy, but it would seem even if he sold out to another party, he loses all his rights in the chutzner, because his rights only exist as long as he has part ownership. And when he loses his part ownership, the neder which he takes forbids him in the entire courtyard. Because again, he forbade himself in the portion which belongs to the other person. That means he retained his own portion. Once he sold out his portion, we say he lost all rights.
I don't understand the logic. If he forbade himself from the other portion, so...
Well, according to Samach, it's portion, right? Or Samach, because now the whole field, the whole yard belongs to the other guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the Samach explains our Gemara.
It's a third party.
Yeah, but I guess that the
party allows him to come in there. Why can't he go in there?
Because according to Yerushalmi Yaakov, it seems his idea was not to make a neder which is detrimental to him as owner. But once he's a guest, then that neder might be detrimental. Because remember, Yerushalmi Yaakov's breira is not of the common sort. Rather, breira which has to do with his das at the time he made the neder. And Mistoma, his logic was, as long as I have ownership, I want to retain my access. And that's why he continued to permit himself access on his part. But it's no longer his part, Mistoma, according to the way of understanding that the sellout was to another person. But once he sold out, he no longer has that svara in mind that he wants to retain access to the field.
The situation's not the same. So
right.
Therefore the neder
would expand. Except, not that the net expands, but the repudiation of the field is then complete. In other words, the repudiation applies to whatever is not his, and nothing's his. That's how we learn it.
So it's not that he forbade himself against his partner's field. He forbade himself against whatever is not his.
That's right. That's right. That's a good way to put it. Whatever's not his. That's correct. Okay, that'll do. So it says, now Now it said in the Mishnah that once they made such a neder, neither of them are allowed to put up a millstones and an oven and raise hens there. But what if at the time that they made the contract, prior to the neder, they stipulated that each one is mevater to the other, forgoes the other certain usages in the courtyard, including tanur and rechaim, all that kind of stuff. So then that supersedes the neder as well. So then I say, they still retain the right to put in millstones and ovens in the common sectors. Says more, lo tzurcha should be lo tzurcha da ella. Ashar is only rather the low hisnu where they didn't make a condition among the two of them. I'm not levater that they should be willing to forego little usages even if they're imbalanced. What now is the halacha? Ma marabara Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov considered according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. This considered according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov because as Ridbaz explains, we don't really know what the svara of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is. Is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov svara that there's a kind of brera going on here, that each part gets its side, right? And therefore that would not include his right to put down millstones and stoves and stuff like that, which are not on his side, right? Or do we say the logic is that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds that vitur is not a problem by mudar hanoah? We said it's machlokas in the previous paragimel. If I am forbidden to give you benefits, but I forego things to you. Like, let's say I don't want to give you something tangible, but I let you get away with things, which is really the case here. That here I'm letting him get away with putting up an oven or putting up a stove or a millstone. I don't actually put it up for him. I don't give him benefit, but I'm willing to forego things for him. So the shiur is, when Rabbi Yirmiyah is matir here, but is it because of a brera issue? Or is it because global, which is local and isolated, obviously in this case, so each person having his own part of the field, or is it more of a global thing? And he holds that even by mudar hanoah, vitur is mutar. I'm allowed to forego as long as I don't give profit or give benefit. I'm allowed to forego things that are my expense. That's more expensive. So more based on this, we have several other questions. This is not in the Bible. Didn't we learn lokech b'yeser? We learned over there, lokech b'yeser, a person who's mudar hanoah from his friend has got in other words, he can't give benefit to his friend. Then lokech b'yeser has got to buy for more than it's worth, and moicher rapachos, and sell for less. Ma'amar bar Elazar ben Yaakov, what does Elazar ben Yaakov say about that? So if the Elazar ben Yaakov's whole issue is because of brera, and this type of brera works that we have in our Mishnah, then of course that is not a global principle, it's a very isolated principle. But if it's because vitur is permissible by mudar hanoah, then this case would be mutar and be more than mutar. We'd be matir to buy and sell stuff with him, even with the mudar hanoah, even if there's the guy is deriving minor profits from you. Why is that? Because that would be considered to be vitur, right? Because he's selling it just as the way people sell it in the marketplace.
I thought you had to sell it at a loss.
Yeah, but that's the question. Does Elazar ben Yaakov disagree with this? If he holds vitur is mutar mudar hanoah, so then he would argue this, because this holds vitur is also. I can't give it at the proper price, right? But if he holds vitur is mutar, then that would be okay. And also, that what you learned over there, lo yishilenu, lo yishali menu. You can't loan him nor borrow from him. Ma'amar bar Elazar ben Yaakov. Again, this is something which normal people do. So therefore, maybe if Elazar ben Yaakov was matir vitur bar mudar hanoah, that would be okay as well. So the Gemara, and also what about that which you learned over there? Lo yimkar v'lo yikach himenu. You should not buy and sell stuff from him. And also, that you shouldn't. The reason why you shouldn't buy and sell things from him is that you shouldn't tarry in his house, right, while you're getting the stuff. But that's obviously, something which is only a vitur. There's no actual physical benefit for standing in his house for a long time. So therefore, If the old Vita is mutter or not, then those things should all be mutter. If the other Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is only talking about a heter in our situation, those things will all remain also. So says the Gemara in an answer here. It says in our Mishnah, Shneim asurim l'hamid rechaim v'tunum l'gadol tarnagolim. It says they're both forbidden to put their millstones at stoves and to raise chicks. So that's our Mishnah. Who's it going like? To whom nitzucha? To whom is this required? Elazar ben Yaakov do must need. So this is only required for Elazar ben Yaakov. According to Rabbanan, it's pasha that vitur is also modar. They said explicitly. So which it says you're not allowed to put rechaim and tanur in the kind of property. Obviously, it's going like what's the name here? Elazar ben Yaakov, right? Because according to Rabbanan's pasha, again, according to Rabbanan's pasha, I'll leave that there because Rabbanan asked her vitur. But it must be even according to Elazar ben Yaakov, it's also. So we see here that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds that in a case where it's an issue of vitur, and they didn't stipulate beforehand that there are going to be avatar to each other, Elazar ben Yaakov prohibits. You see that here because it says that even though putting up a millstone or an oven or something like that is a vitur issue, nonetheless that's prohibited as well. So therefore, actually, it comes out to a conclusion that our Mishnah holds like Elazar ben Yaakov that you can't provide a guy who's forsworn all benefit with you, even with, a small hana, but it has to be the case is. That's not what I meant to say. Because according to Elazar ben Yaakov, even that which we say breira is only for I don't know if it's I want to start that sentence either. I'll say it just very simple. Comes to the Chaim Elazar ben Yaakov, vitur is also asur. He holds a vitur is asur because otherwise, why would he forbid you to put up the rechaim and tanur? So it means that since you're allowed to, and of course you're not even putting it up, right? You're just sitting there passively while it goes up. You're not allowed to sit there while it goes up, so it must be that vitur is also by mudar nar according to Elazar ben Yaakov. Okay? Again, that line in Mishnah is not necessary because according to Rabbanan, we know already vitur is also mudar nar. So that line must be going according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, telling us even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds vitur is also by mudar nar. Is that clear?
Yeah, all right.
So therefore, I can't forego to you the right to put up, or I have to protest. If you want to put up an oven in my backyard, and you're not allowed to have any benefit from me, then I'm not allowed to let you do it because vitur is also okay. Says the Gemara, new issue. Hashutim shenodu anoy ezumizu. Shutim who forswore ano from each other. Midnei, it sounds like that because midnei shenodu zemizeh. So the reason why they're also is because they forswore hanor from each other. But what about if they weren't noder hanoya from each other? They didn't forswore any benefit. So it sounds like stomach kemutorin kemevatrin elu elu. Sounds like generally we assume that they're mevater to each other usages in the field, right?
That means it's...
If they're getting along well.
Yeah, so it's business as usual.
Right. So the question is what business as usual is. So it sounds like they're mevater to each other, right? Here we have a Mishnah which says, these are the things which have chazaka, and one of the things which has chazaka also there is I think a tanur and a rechaim. Now, if you're going to say that they're invited to each other, you don't need a chazaka. Chazaka is far too great a tool to use under those circumstances, right?
Well, what else is there?
Get the vitur.
They're partners.
Right, so why need chazaka? The chazaka is on each other, that if I put a tanur there, then for 3 years I get to keep it there.
Isn't that implicit in what a partnership is, that they're going to cooperate and allow things to be put in a common ground?
Let's say, right? So why need to have chazaka? Just say that's the initial agreement. Why need it 3 years? What's the 3 years proving? That's the question the Gemara is. Okay? Rabbi Yirmiyah said, you know what? That chazaka is really a chazaka of vitur. I think that's what you were trying to say, essentially. So it's chazaka, it's not a halachic chazaka, the classic sense. It means that we assume that, you know, people are mevater to each other if they're partners to each other. That's the assumption.
Why even introduce that term?
Yeah, that was the question. Why choose the term? So Rabbi Yirmiyah is trying to answer. Well, it's lav dafka. It means that this is something which they continue to, to put into effect. Okay. So says the Gemara. Rabbi Lezer said, "I'm begado tani golim, b'chater she'ena shalo." Similar issue to one we just learned. If you raise hands in somebody else's backyard, I raise the chazaka, and you left in there for 3 years, you have chazaka to raise hands in their backyard. How do they come back and protest afterwards? Tough, right? Should have done it. Yeah, it's about last a long time. So I have nothing to recall. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi says, "Bios," makes sense. Manafshach. No matter what, if he's got permission, he's a group with permission. And he doesn't have permission, then, well, he was there for 3 years. So it's a little bit different. He's learning that, yes, it could be bitur, but it could be chazaka. There might be two separate things, right? It could be that just shutfim shutfim are mevater to each other, or it could be it's chazaka, and the chazaka is a separate thing. And the place to look for that here, as the Gemara is saying, is where you're raising your hands in somebody else's backyard. If you're raising somebody else's backyard, obviously there's no vitur there. So what works over there? Chazaka. Only chazaka, right. So it says the Gemara further.
It almost sounds like, maybe I'll put my own spin on this, that the Gemara is surprised that two shutfim are actually cooperating with each other.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
okay. That is a little bit of a spin, but Rabbi Yochanan said, "B'chol hashutfim bakol hashutfim makmin zelzer," and everything partners can prevent the other, their co-partner, from using the field in that way. They don't have to go along. Chutz, with one exception. One partner cannot impede the other from doing laundry in the backyard. Why laundry? They cover because the girls have to get slightly undressed in order to do laundry. So we don't do that in public. So therefore, he can't make a mechor on that. Says the Gemara, Amar Ibn Tanya said, that's true, a very poignant forerunner of 20th and 21st century life. That's only true where the women do the laundry. Where the men do the laundry, then there's no automatic permission to do it in the chutzner. Yeah, that's right. It says the Gemara further. But that Amar chutzin aknisa kvisa l'chutzner. How you said that laundry I must allow my neighbor to do in the backyard. B'chol chutzner. That's only in the entire yard in general. B'ram, except however, B'dal Amos. Now here there's a whole line missing, for which the Shai Torah Yitzhak puts it in. B'dal Amos denafshei of his own mimachu hu b'yodei. He can protest the other guys plowing there. B'dadi tamer is still not in the Gemara. B'dadi tamer call shutvi makin says the l'chotzer. And now which it says that the shutrim are impediments to each other in the courtyard. B'chol chotzer. That's in the entire yard. B'ram b'dalad amos. However, in the dalad amos, going back to the Gemara, the chavrei lo matzi mimche biyodei. You can't protest what's going on. So basically, he says that laundry is can be a fair subject of dispute in the entire yard except for 4 amos on the side of the guy who's not doing laundry, and 4 amos on the side of the guy who is doing the laundry. The 4 amos on the guy who's not doing laundry says, "Nimpi, not in my backyard, not in these 4 amos. These are my personal use 4 amos." And the other guy who's doing within 4 amos of his house, he can say, even if the other guy comes at them with a tie and says, "Kvisa, kvisa," they're doing laundry in the backyard. Why are you doing your own laundry back here? So he's not responsible for that, right? He's allowed to do it as long as it's within his daled amos, within daled amos of his own door. Let's say about whoever's doing it, the man or the woman, right? So it says more again, Bedad Amos the Chavrei and his friends for Amos Lomatim, you can't protest that he's doing the laundry there. However, if the place was on an incline, so all the dirty water flows from my side to your side, right? Even my friends for Amos, I can protest. Because in say it's obvious. You're spilling it, it's coming to me. So therefore, in that case, you can protest, even if it's on way on the other side of the yard. Says the Gemara, Tani, we learned Makamat Tanur precisely because the Tanur is based on concept of Vitur. The presence of the oven indicates no kinyonim, no chazakas are established. So we learn Makamat Tanur, the place where the oven stood, a Makam Kirayim, place where the Kirayim, some type of oven stood. Elan Chazaka doesn't establish that that portion of the house belongs, or the courtyard actually, talking about here, that portion of courtyard belongs to the person who has his oven, or his big oven, or his small oven there, right? Elan Chazaka, there's no Chazaka. Al Gabeyan, however, an interesting Gemara. If that there's actually a word missing according to Ben Ari at the bottom, it says Kira Agabim. What if you put a canopy or ceiling over your oven, a hood? It's a hood over your range. So that Afilu Koshu, no matter how small that hood is, or that parasol, whatever it is, Yeshem Chazaka. Then already there's Chazaka applies. Okay, why does Chazaka apply then? Right, it's more permanent, and it's a structure beyond the bare minimum necessary for Tanur. That's right. So every the other guy should protest, right? That's what it says. Says the Gemara, Amar said, "Uvad kiwi shemol l'tanur." It can't just be some makeshift structure. It's got to be a structure which is specifically meant to protect the oven from the elements. Okay, so that comes part and parcel of that goes part and parcel of his chazaka. In other words, if he has broad enough kiwi, not broad enough rooftop over his part of the well, so then his part of the oven, so then he can actually
he's setting up shop.
Right, that's what I meant to say. Okay. It says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi said, "Uvaki Rishmolta is got to be something which is good for the oven." Rabbi Yerushalmi said, "Shutvi konim zemizeh b'chotzer." Shutvi can make kinyonim from each other in the chotzer. This is interesting because normally you can't make a kinyan in somebody else's yard. I mean, I can make kinyonim, hagbah and stuff like that, but I can't pull something or pick something up in your yard and make it mine, because that doesn't demonstrate ownership. It's got to be at least a public place. Is that clear?
Or if he gives it to you.
What?
What about the partner? You're in his partner.
He has to give it to you by hand then, not by Mashiach or Masira. To be Hagbah might work, but, right? Okay, so in any event, if the chotzer, it belongs to them in commonality, so then they can make kinyonim in the chotzer. And they're chayav to pay for each other's damages if each other damaged by something which they had by something which was something which they had stored in the courtyard. Amay Bumakana said, "Ba'omer." This only works ba'omer if a guy says, "Tzvar v'tikneh," gather up the coins and buy them. In other words, do a ma'isa now. Im tzvurim, if they're already gathered together, lo kana sheyataltel, then don't do a kinyan until you actually carry the coins. Okay. Now, new issue. This is going on the Mishnah, where it says, the guy sold out and he says, well, I'm going back to my own field when he goes back to visit. I'm not going to the other guy's field, right? I'm not going into your stuff. So it's in the Mishnah, it sounds like, one second. Yeah, you see the last line of the Mishnah back in Zayin and Aleph? It says actually, the last three lines. I'm going to my part. I'm not going to your part. On your part. We forced the node there to sell his part. Okay, that was the Mishnah, right? So here the Gemara says, "B'soch sheli ani nichnas, lo b'soch shelcha." Why? I can always claim I'm going to my half, not to your half. Top of Yud Ches Ma'al Fatam Markov, we say that we're compelled divorce. Well, not a divorce here, but a separation. We compare the compelled separation. How come? Says, well, you know what? We don't. Each guy can talk and say, according to Rabbanim, according to Rabbi Yaakov, each guy can say he's going to his own portion. Law Dois Amras, when it says Kofi that we compel a separation, Lois Amras Ella Law Dois Amras, not the state action in the previous Mishnah, but rather Ella the next Mishnah. Now the next Mishnah is talking about a case we haven't seen yet, obviously, where let's see it inside now. Skipping down to Mishnah, we'll come back. If he was barred from deriving or benefit from another guy, you shouldn't go into the other guy's field, courtyard. Yeah, because it's deriving benefit from it. Rabbi Yaakov says, he could say, like we said before, I'm going to your friends and not into to mine. So not into yours. Going to your friends and not into yours. So what do we prove again? Yeah, the case is like this. Okay, this case, the person who took the netter didn't take the netter against his friend. He took the netter against people from the marketplace. Said, I don't want them to come in anymore. Took such an oath. They're not allowed in. So in that case, we can compel a separation, because the other guy says, all my business is shot. Because people are going to be afraid to come in unless they go into your portion.
So it's impacting on his partner.
Right, so it's impacting on his partner much more directly than if he offers his own entree into his partner's thing. If he offers his other people's entree into this partner's yard, it's much more difficult. Okay? So that's the case we're talking about over here. So law, that's the case where and this is the case where you compel divorce. Law, is that we compel El aladav, rather this one. So shall gavercha ani nichnas. I'm entering your field. V'lo so shalcha. He claims, look, I'm entering your field, and I'm not entering the other. I'm not entering your field, and not the other guy's field. We compelled the nodar to sell his portion. And says the Gemara, Ba'aymer, it's a case when he says, Hanayosi alecha. He says, my hana, this is another answer actually. I have here my notes, I'm sorry, this is another answer. Where do we say kofin? So it says, I'll tell you, Ba'aymer hanayosi alecha. Where the guy who takes the neder says, I'm forbidding benefit from me to you. So that's very difficult for the other guy to keep up, right? So they're directed against him. How's he going to keep it up? So therefore, in that case, we compel a separation. But if the guy says, I'm prohibiting myself from deriving benefit from you, so you don't care as much, right? So he won't derive benefits. So but as long as you are able to derive benefits. So therefore, actually, what comes out here is that did I make myself clear what I just said?
Yeah, so far.
Let me say it again anyway. Because there are two separate answers in the Gemara. Gemara problem, kofin. It says kofin. So it says, well, why do we say kofin? Why do we compel a separation? Why don't we just let them stay together? It says, well, one of two answers. In the case in which we say kofin is going in the next Mishnah. In a case where the guy who took the neder asked upon himself hanor from the shuk, because then people from the shuk are going to be afraid to come in, and that's a bottom line issue, right? The other guy's parnasa will be shot, right? So therefore you compel him to leave. The other answer is to say that no, it's really talking about between the two of them, and it depends how the guy who answered himself on the other guy. Said the other guy, you're not allowed to derive any benefit from my property, then we compel him to leave. Because he makes life impossible, right? Because the other guy is going to confront and Issa the rice anytime he inadvertently uses the other guy's property, right? But if the guy who took the neder said, I forbid myself from deriving hanor from you, then you say, Vavakasha, that's your problem, as long as don't have to be concerned. So in that case, we don't compel the separation. Okay? Says Mishnah for the Lachabes. This is the case we're just speaking about. He was somebody from the marketplace, was muder me'achar me'manoya. He was muder enough on them. Like Christ, and becomes, we will actually slice him up. We will what? Separate them. Right? We'll slice them from each other. So it says tomorrow. Well, not if he comes, but if he makes such a neder, we separate them. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer Yochul Omar. No, the guy from the marketplace could say, I'm going into your friends, not into yours, and therefore we don't compel a separation. Says Gemara, below tenin on kofin. Now there are all sorts of questions here. Didn't we learn that kofin? Actually, it's a statement. I made a mistake. Below tenin on kofin. It doesn't say here we compel. So it says Gemara. Which is an implicit question, because the previous Gemara we said we do compel. So Tarabechir said reconciles the two. He says, Ima ya nadron. If it's a custom to be modern, then kofi. In other words, a one-shot deal, we let it go like water under the bridge, right? But if he does the same thing twice, then kofi, right? So it says, Gemara, do Amar lei, do Amar le. So I have a note here. I forgot what this means. 1 second. Yeah, because he says, the other guy says that Asis Kadamoi, actually people are not going to come before me, of the Slakan if you do this. Meaning that that's why we compel, in the case where the person was accustomed to mow down from people in the marketplace, so then his partner gets fed up and he says, if you keep doing this, people are not going to come and visit me, and that's going to be bad for me. So in that case, we compel a separation. Tanya, we learn, we learned if he does it again, O Shari Nidruk, we say either Drimati or Neder, O Zavin Chulkach, or Soya portion. So actually here comes out that we give him one warning, because it says if he does it again, a second time, that's if he was a no-drug. Not if he did it once. If he did it once, we assume it's a fluke, and we say, go Mbati or Neder, and everything will be fine. And even if not Mati Neder, we say, well, it was just Meshugas he had towards one person. But Asers everybody upon himself, Asers Field, or at least one other person, right, a second person. So then we say we kick him out. Okay, we say that it's not possible for everybody to live with you in this situation. You must leave.
So whose idea is it that giving him one more chance?
Just the language of Nadran, right? That has to be a pattern is established, and a pattern established the second time. Says more. So he's moved on over his friend. And he's got in the city the person who's not to provide any benefit. He's got a bathhouse or an olive press, muskarin, which are rented out. Muskarin is not so material here. If the owner who's mudan off from this fellow, right, has rights over these structures, also, then the guy who bought the structure is forbidden, right? If the owner who's prohibited to provide hana doesn't have tfisas yad, does not have rights in the house, so mutter, then the other fellow is allowed to use these structures. I guess the classic example would be, like, let's say you have a case where there's a let's go example.
Well, what's tfisas yad is rights in the house?
Yeah, like he gets to use the olive press at certain hours. Something like that. So then the
tfisas yad was that he had direct contact with the ownership and the way it runs.
No, not necessarily. It means he has rights of usage. So if he has tfisas yad, so then it's also, because then the person's mudar knows where I benefit from him more directly. He doesn't have tfisas yad, then it's okay. Says Moroso, someone says, friend, nichnas. He makes a call, I'm not going to enter your house. I'm not buy a field. If the guy who was the object of this neder died, in other words, the guy who was the mudar, not the ma'adir, if he died, so then Meiso Shema he sold somebody else. Lost my place. One second. We still in the Mishnah? Meiso Shema Lachem Mutar. Yeah, because after the guy dies, he made the neder falls off. However, that's only if the guy made the neder upon himself. If the guy said he's not entering this house, this field I'm not going to take, even though it belonged now to a certain individual, Mason, that guy died, or somebody else, also you're allowed to go use the field.
So the object is an object, not a person.
The object is an object, not a person. Very good. Kami tfisas yad. What's tfisas yad of the owner in the merchat that he is considered still to be his, and therefore the person's mudar no can't use it. So it says more has to only own actively either half or a third, at least a quarter. Now it says in our Mishnah, Beischa zeh, your house or this house. So it says the Gemara, says the Gemara, Mishem Mata Taifsa. Which language in this statement is a critical one. Mishum Beischa, is it because of the house, or is it because of Zeh? Should be or because or Mishum Zeh. So and the nafkamina would be Nafal Beno. Let's say the house fell, and he rebuilt it. Nafal Beno who lay. This is fine. Nafal Beno who.
So it's a new house. So
yeah, but it's his house. That's the point. No, which means to be a nafkamina. Nafal. Right. Nafal Beno who lays.
And so if it's Beis Chazeh, it's the old house only, and the new house is okay. If it's Beis Ha, not the Zeh, then it's regardless of whether it's the old house or the new house.
Okay.
If you go on the word Beis Ha, it doesn't matter if it's the old house or the new house. It's still your house.
Right.
And then it still exists. If it's Beis Chazeh,
right, then it's this one specifically. Right, that's right. No, who lace who? Yeah. Oh, so I now remember. It says lace, but should be lace who korban. If the fellow rebuilt it, so it's not zeh. Right? Who means zeh? It's not zeh, but it's still Beis Cha. What should you say? The Shemina Me'adah. So what do we say in this case? Let's have from here. Emily Yarshav, somebody who says to his heirs. This is a brisa. It says somebody says to his heirs, "Tnu Beis Chasus Livni, give the house where his chuppah is to my son, or Beis HaMelusi Lebiti, or the house of her widowhood to my daughter. V'nafa, and the house fell down. Yosh Mechaven Livnoso. The heirs are liable to rebuild it. Why? Because he says bias. He didn't say bias there. So therefore they're under lien to continue to buy the house if it fell down. Right? But if he said bias there, it wouldn't apply. Tamatini learned over there. Somebody says to the son, Kainam Shat Nana Li, an oath that you may not derive benefit from me, Imes Yerushalmi. If the father dies, the son still inherits him. Right? Because he's not getting hana from him anymore, because the father's dead. B'chayiv Mosi, but what if the father said he really hated his son? He said before he died, B'chayiv Mosi, my son does not derive any benefit neither in my lifetime nor my death. Meis lo Yerushalmi. If the guy dies, he can't inherit him. Amar Yirmi said, Chami hech tanyan. Come see how it says. Hacha, over here. V'atani, didn't we learn? B'chayai, President says, in my lifetime, he makes Yerushalmi. Okay, in other words, he's analyzed this Brisa and Bava Kama. The President says, during my lifetime, right, my properties are forbidden from my son, then the kid can inherit it. But mostly, if the father said, after my death, my properties are also upon my son, so he makes Yerushalmi. The father died, he can inherit him. But Chayim mostly, so why, if each one of these words is defective and doesn't serve as a barrier, why you put them together? But Chayim mostly makes lo Yerushalmi. If he says that if he dies, his son should not derive any benefit, neither Chayim in his lifetime or his death, there's no Yerusha. Why not? So says the Gemara, Ma Bain, what's the difference between who Damar Chada Chada? What's the difference between a guy who says one word each, either Chayi or Mosi? Who Damar Trey Train, and one who says two words of Chayi and Mosi. So Rabbi Yosef and Chanina Tarvein, I mean, they both said a fascinating thing actually. Konom Hanoyas Nechosai Elu. Person said, and here we didn't have a story before. A person said we had Zeh, same idea. Person says that no, this property is usher, it should be a love upon him. So in that case, Korban changes the next few words. Since he said B'chaye uvemosi, Ki'ilu Amart, as if he said third word in the next line. Elu Asar Ki'ilu Amar Elu. It's as if he said Elu. Asarana love Ben Chaim Ben Mason. Ben Lachmisa. He blasted both during lifetime and after death. So it's really a very basic thing. Although the Gemara is somewhat convoluted. If I say nechasim elu, it's a very fundamental principle actually. If I say nechasim elu are also upon you, that attaches to the property even after my demise.
Right, because it's the object, it's inanimate, it has nothing to do with it.
It's still a major chiddush though. Because you would think we had back a couple of blocks ago, we had, if I make a neder on something and then I mafkir it, so then you're allowed to take it, right? I make a neder forbidding it.
But the death isn't mafkir, it's the Yerusha.
The guy's dead, it's not his anymore. How's it his once he's dead?
Because it was in his will.
So what? What difference does it make? Let that terminate.
The estate owns it. The estate is his.
He's dead. He can't be his anymore. So I was saying like this. I was saying the truth is that beforehand, the only reason it was takamutta to be mafkir and let the other guy take it because they didn't say in the original neder nechasim elu. They just said nechasei lecho hefkir. Oh, then once he's mafkir, it's okay. But here he taka said nechasim elu. That makes it bad. That means it attaches the property even after the father's death.
Also, he didn't voluntarily make it after he just died. So.
Yeah, but he planned his death. He issued his last will and testament. But the additional point I wanted to make in that regard was that therefore, the Gemara says here, first says in the Rambam Pazway, B'chayev v'moisi, to be also my son, but during my lifetime and also after my death, that's like Elu. That extraneous language is like saying Elu, and that's why it pertains even after death. And then the Yerusha doesn't take place. So I thought Achaim said Yerusha does take place midoraisa, right? Because how can you undermine the Yerusha? It's automatic. But he has no rights to use it because it's offered. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yosef said, Tanina ben Izakin. We learned in the Zakin, in the case brought down before from Baba Kama, Madlotim B'Darim, that which you didn't learn in the Darim. How do you learn more in that case of Baba Kama? In the case of Baba Kama, there's a greater Chiddush. Here we see, over here in our Mishnah, we see that if I take an Isser, I'm Moeder Hanoah from an object during the lifetime of its owner, then I continue to be also on it after his owner's demise, right? But that's where I, the Noider, took the neder. 1 second. Yeah, I'm not sure I can explain this properly, but I think I can try. The case in the Zogan is a bigger chiddush, because our case in our mission is the case where I took an Isser upon me in a certain chayvitz, and while the owner was alive, it was also and continues after his death, because Isser is upon me. That's not such a big chiddush. The case in the Zogan is a bigger chiddush. That's where the other guy asked his property upon me, and since he chose specific property, he said, Elul, that continues even after his death. Okay, so that's a little bit of a bigger chiddush. Okay? Says more further, Nedarim, in Nedarim we say, and here it actually explains it, I guess. Nedarim, konam shel beis choshen yichnas, I make the neder. I said I'm not going to enter your house. So at choshen yichnas your field, not going to eleni loken out by field. Meso shemachol acher. In that case, if the guy died or sold to somebody else, it's permissible. But by zeh, but if I said to this house, this house, so the zeh shein lokeh, I'm not going to buy this field. Meso shemachol acher. If he died or sold to somebody else, also, then it's forbidden because by zeh transcends death and transcends transfer. Okay, because it attaches to the object. So this bits of reiteration. The only time it's okay is if he didn't say zeh. But if he said zeh, which is same thing like elu, also so it's both during lifetime and after lifetime as well.
So why is it bigger chiddush in Nezikin?
Because in Nezikin it's where the guy who made the neder died.
Yeah.
Whereas by us it's where the guy who made the neder survived, the other guy died. It's a bigger chiddush where the guy who made the neder died, the neder still exists. So it's our case of the guy who made the neder is alive, it's the guy against whom he made the neder who's dead. That's not as big a chiddush. Okay, look it out. If I say should be a cherem upon you, hamudar aser, then the person against whom the neder is directly is forbidden. I say you should be a cherem upon me, hanoider aser, then the person who took the neder is aser. About the life, I say you're upon me and I upon you. They're both aser. But even in that case, a fascinating mission actually, they're both mutar b'davar she'oli bada. But certain b'davar she'oli, they're forbidden to use any common property of the same city. Why is that? Because they each have a portion in it. And they're mutar not from each other. But they're allowed to use common property of Am Yisrael when it came up from Bava. Because even though that's under the jurisdiction of Am Yisrael, it doesn't belong to any specific Israeli. It's interesting dichotomy in a city or something like that. Everybody's in ownership of the public items, but in Am Yisrael, it doesn't work that way, right? That's what it's saying. In Davar Sholi Bavel, so it's not everybody is a partner, but rather it belongs to the public. You see the difference? If everybody's a partner and one is moved on for the other, you can't go and derive benefit from it, right? But if nobody really owns it, right, just everybody uses it in turn, then each one of these two guys can use it in turn as well.
So how are Oli Bavel different than...
Right?
Why is Oli Bavel different? I mean, because they didn't own anything?
It's a phrase. It means that's community property in a different way than community property of a kehillah. Okay, kehillah's parameters are different than the entire Am Yisrael. Okay? Oli Bavel just happened to be a phrase of choice because Oli Mitzrayim's conquest was obliterated. Okay? Says Markonim she'eni nen elecha. If a guy says, Konam, I'm not going to have any bid for you, Vilna lanisha lo alecha. And to the Chacham who's matir your neder. So nisha al rishon, you can be matir the first neder. Neno nisha al sheni. It's not matir the second neder, which is asrim on the Chacham. Interesting thing. You would think it's a chumrah. It's really a kula. Means once you're matir the first neder, the second neder falls off because the second neder was built on the first neder. So when it says Eidon Nishal Shem means he doesn't have to ask on the second one, but in fact it falls off. Isai Tai that Moses said Nishal Ben Rishal Ben Sheni he has to be matir both on the first one and the second case. Shmuel the Great Yosef, the first case being the case of the first shvur and the second shvur rather. First shvur being I'm forbidden to derive benefit from you, the second being that I'm forbidden to derive benefit from the rabbi who's matir the shvur. Okay? Says Moshul Breda V'Yisrael Amar Kimandamar Lacher Isur. This is going like the opinion that we go after how the Yisurim devolved. Around Kimandamar Lacher Neder. According to the opinion which holds we go after the time when the neder was verbalized, then neder Shabbat Mitzvah Sabbato Kula. Neder which is partially nullified, it's completely nullified. So actually, our machlokus is talking about and our mission is talking about where a person took the machlokus between not the mission between the two Amoraim and our Gemara is whether a neder when we matir from the time neder or from the time the neder took effect. You have the time the neder was taken, so the neder was taken simultaneously on the fruit and on the rabbi, right? On whoever's going to matir the neder. If you go after the Isser, so they're chal successively. Because first the neder takes effect, and then he makes it into the matir, and that comes later on. Okay? So if it's the lacher Isser, you have a problem. But if it's achar neder shabbat mitzvah so bato kulo. Okay? Hanoidim ne'ir. Somebody takes neder not to have any bet from b'nei year. Uba echad v'yoshev sham shloshim yom, and somebody dwelt there for only 30 days. Mutav because only become your b'nei year after 12 months. But miyoshva year, not from the citizens, but from the residents. Uba echad v'yoshev sham shloshim yom aserbo. Somebody came live for 30 days. That makes him already not a citizen, but a a resident. Therefore,
He's eligible to apply for welfare.
what?
He's eligible to apply for welfare.
Right. He's eligible to apply for welfare. And therefore, the guy took the nether, not to the right of any applies to him as well. If a person says, my members of the city should not have any benefit from me, he can't be matter by the zaken who lives there. And the reason why that is because till now nobody was allowed to derive benefit from him. Now they'd be allowed to derive benefit from him, so the zaken is no gambit over, so therefore you can't pass it. The Gemara rejects this. Says the Gemara, he's tying those who said, no, he can even ask on the original nether to the Chacham in the city. It's not as if the zaken is being made for his own Nedarim, he's being made for Nedarim. For this guy, we're not choishish that he's no ger. Okay?
Yeah, but he's a resident of a city and you're getting benefits.
That's true, but it's too tenuous a link to make it a problem.
But you just say that he's, besides being a resident of the city, he's physically in that city, but he's not the rock that you are.
Well, he still would be no gambit over, because he's getting benefit from being matir the nether. Because he'll have access to this individual, but nonetheless, we say it's not a problem. Okay, it says the word nether sharab me'in to a heter. If the masses took a nether, it's not. There's no heter for the nether. Hanoy de barab, if somebody takes a nether in public, ain't no heter. Hanoy de now mechaber before up. If you were might not know for your friend in front of him, well, you shall have fun of yati matin in front of him. Shall have fun of your matir made her from him. Shalom in front of him, not in front of him. Then Nishalilo, you can be matin in front of him. Shalom from whether he's around or not as well. Rabbi Yochanan said, why make you do it in front of him? Be near busha, so you should be embarrassed. So people shouldn't be suspect that you weren't matir nether. Okay? Now, if you skip down four lines, Shai Torah says that line's supposed to be here. These tiny tzarchli protest nether, those who say when you go to a chacham, you see that 4 lines down? Those who say you have to specify the nether you made. These tiny those who say ain't no tzarchli protest nether, you don't have to specify. And now it says more, going back to where we were a minute ago, this machlokes kim plukvasa like machlokes by Yom Kippur. Tani Yom Kippur and tzarchli for this ma'aser, you have to specify Yerushalmi Nedarim, you have to say Vilna, Divrei Yehuda ben Beseira. And we give them an answer for it, just to say general language. Actually, Yerushalmi Nedarim is not specific, right? So whether it be specific there or not is the same as whether you have to be specific here as well. And the Class of Sefer has a whole elaborate explanation here of how also in Yom Kippur the issue might be an issue of busha, which means baish before Kosh Baruch did that there, or might be an issue of chashad. People shouldn't suspect that you don't know your sins and you're not going to go back. You're going to go back to them again. Okay, be that as it may. Chad Barnash, there's another reason to be mafayit to nether, because you don't know what you'll find out, and that's how the Gemara ends here. Chad Barnash Nadar, a certain individual took a nether, the Loma of Ravcha, he's not going to make any money. He's not going to make profits anymore. Asel Kavi Yudim Barshom Sakin or Yudim Barshom. Amar so he said to me, what was your shvur? Amar Loma Vachna, I took a shvur that I'm not going to derive any benefit and make any profits. Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, B'chein Barnash Avi, do people take such nedarim? It's unheard of. Nobody wants to live and not make profits, right? Amar so he said to him, Dilma b'kavyustomar. Maybe you took a nether that you're not going to make profits by gambling anymore. That was your nether. And you want to be matter that nether because you want to take a vacation in Las Vegas. And he asked him if that's the case. And he said yes. Amar, so Rabbi Yehuda and Barshon said, Baruch Shabach B'Torah Chachamim. Baruch Hashem, you see the Varshkocha, Sha'amr Tzorch Lifrotas HaNeder. And I not asked him to detail the nether, I would not have known that's the type of nether I shouldn't be matir for him. But now I knew, and he wasn't matir to him, and he had to stay home when he missed his flight to Las Vegas. But I believe we possibly you don't have to be mafayit to nether. Do you didn't daven yet? Oh, okay. Let me just start the mission here because it's relevant. It's the direct link. What's davar sholi bava? Gon harbayis, vazoros, the base of mikdash, va'be'er shebem tzadech, the wells in the middle of the road. So there, everybody is common but not ownership, and therefore anybody can use it. Bezu Davar also a ear where there's a problem that if one guy's mutar enough and the other guy can't use it. Kol Harchava, the city courtyard, Merchat, a bathhouse, Beis HaKnesses, the shul, Vateva, the bima, Vasfarim, and the Sfarim in shul as well. So what do you do in this case situation? All right, we'll see that next week.